first time, and I remember the first time, and I remember the first time.
And we only meet once in a while anyway.
It's gonna be lonely not being able to see you anymore. It's been great hanging out with you.
Why she run from me, now you wanna come back and now you love on me. But I'm confused why you think you deserve some trust from me. And your heart is painted black, girl it's ugly, fuck your company. Why she run from me, now you wanna come back and now you love on me. But I'm confused why you think you deserve some trust from me. And your heart is painted black, girl it's ugly, fuck your company. And I remember the first time you had me in your hold. Now you corrupted the safe file and it will never know. Yeah, missing that is darkness, watch all his friends turn to foes. Yeah, trying to troubleshoot me, but I cannot be screwed. Trying to sell me a dream, trying to sell me a home. While you tell me a lie, do you think I'm a joke? Swear I'm not a bad guy, but it's past my only road. Never been hate in my heart, but you burned it in my soul. Cannot control myself, and I begin to tell the lies and things you tell yourself. And why you put me in this hell? And I cannot control myself, and I cannot begin to tell the lies and things you tell yourself. And why you put me in this hell? It's over, it's over, it's over, it's over. And I remember the first time, and I remember the first time.
Here, you gotta leave now.
Don't get mad at me. Sorry if you feel that I abandoned you.
And I remember the first time you had me in your home. Now you corrupted the safe file and it would never load. Yeah, guessing that it's darkness, watch all his friends turn to foes. Yeah, try to troubleshoot me, but I cannot be screwed. Trying to sell me a dream, trying to sell me a home. While you tell me a lie, do you think I'm a joke? Swear I'm not a bad guy, but it's past my only road. Never been hating my mom, but burned it in my soul. From me, now you wanna come back and now you love on me. But I'm confused why you think you
What's up,
deserve
man?
from me. And your heart is painted black, girl it's ugly, fuck your company. Why she run from me, now you wanna come back and now you love on me. But I'm confused why you think you deserve some trust from me. And your heart is painted black,
Nothing
girl
much,
it's
my
ugly, fuck your company. Why she run from me, why she run from me. And now you love on me, now you love on me. Want some trust from me,
parachute
want some trust from me. But your heart's ugly, but your heart's ugly.
Give me a sec.
Why you run from me, why you run from me. And now you love on me, now you love on me. But your heart's ugly, but your heart's ugly. Fuck your company, fuck your company.
Image as JPEG. We are good to go. Did I tweet this out? I don't remember. Oh yeah, okay, there we go. I did tweet it out. Cool. I feel like my internet is like lagging. All right.
And I remember the
I'm
first
gonna
time.
start.
And I remember the first time. First time.
Let's not hop on Discord just in
First time.
case.
First time. And I remember the
There's
first time.
something. What?
And
That's
I
given. I don't
remember
trust that.
the
I
first
don't know
time.
you.
We only meet once in a while anyway.
Know you, bro.
It's gonna be lonely not being able to see
Discord
you
trying to
anymore.
give me things. How do I know you can be trusted?
Why she run from me, now you
Oh, it's the wrong screen. How y'all doing? What's happening? I don't like where this is positioned at all. There we go. Put it right. Yeah. Still gotta use my webcam. How y'all doing though? What's happening? You got a job interview set up with a new job? Interview? Okay. I'm into that. What is going on with my phone? Do I need to just reset this? I'll look at OBS for now. Something going on with my service provider. But yeah, I actually kind of like. So first of all, I apologize for last Friday. I was supposed to stream. Yeah. I didn't. Not in a great mood. Plus some other things, so that's on me. And I'll be very transparent. Summertime, like I'll be outside, bro. Like I'll be running around. I'll be outside. It's hot. So just, bear with me. Wintertime, I'm indoors. So chilling after a long work day, I feel it. So bear with me with that on that too. But yeah, so I'll be a little more disorganized in the summer because I'll be running around and twerking in the what? I was hacked. Wasn't me. But I have a question here I want to answer from Ashu. Let me just make sure the Discord got it. Yes, they did. Okay. Boom. And we're gonna hop into it. And I'm kind of only live as long as like my like I have a ride coming. So when they come, I gotta cut. But we might be good for at least an hour, I think. So, but I will do the proper Abyss arc stream on Friday. Because and plus I think it's a better day for it to come out because I said Abyss. I'm sorry, not to Arc. Just because Abyss started, and I guess it's not. I guess Fast Pass. So I'm like, probably it's good to put it out maybe like the day before the last chapter is officially out, so to speak. So we'll get it that. It's just Kubera right now. I'm gonna talk about the Tower of God chapter. What happened? We're gonna talk about that tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be the day we do that. I can't do it today. If I shouldn't have spent so much time working out today. If I didn't do that, we would have had more time to stream. So that's on me. Let me pull this up again to see if my phone wants to cooperate. Because I swear that I don't know if it's the app, but it's taking long to load shit. But anyways, if any one of the boys want to hop in, they can hop in. But all right, let me show you the question I was talking about. Need to go here. Because I think in some ways I answered it, but I think it's still a good question to ask. So you said you're not an unofficial mod anymore, bro. You a mod now, all right? So Kubera discussion topic: the pros and cons of having multiple MCs and the way Curry decides to treat them, long-term quality of the story versus weekly demand to the fans. Who want to see their favorite characters, and is it fair to ask the fans to take a long-term perspective on Kubera to where it might be a great binge read once it's done, but at the risk of losing current fan interests who ultimately are the bloodline of the story? So I think these are all really good questions, and we're going to answer them. We'll start with the first one, which is the pros and cons of having multiple MCs and the way that Currygom decides to treat them and handle them, because I think that's a fair question, honestly. I wonder if I should have used the other I hate having to use an actual like webcam on my computer. I need another one go. Okay, so to answer that question, unfortunately, one of the cons is that I would argue there is no proper way to properly portray a myriad of characters in an in-depth fashion. For a couple of characters to shine, you don't have to take shine off other characters, but they won't be in the spotlight temporarily. So you can kind of do it the way Oda used to do it when he was pretty good. And it's just like you make the moments with them mean a lot. You make them count. And while you might have a plethora of characters running around doing a bunch of things, with that, there's a lot of ways for us to get attached to very important characters, despite them being used very sparingly. Because I would argue that he was very good at introducing characters and making you care about them pretty quickly. I think Roshinante is a good example. Then there's the kind of other approach. What's up, Miles? You can hop in if you're not busy. And the other approach that you can take is what Currygom is doing, and what it is it's a constant shift in, and not necessarily that point of view. That's actually not right. It would be a shift in perspective. You can do it the way where it's like every time it's Kubera's turn, we do her thing, whatever, and then maybe she's in the wayside for a bit, and now it's Yuta season, and then now it's done. Now it's a Maruna season, but you have to understand that a lot of these characters have very specific dynamics that intertwine with one another. So while we're learning a lot of things about Maruna, it actually still bleeds and ties into Ran because of the way that they were together in the weight of time and the kind of differing ideologies of I think Ran's a half, if I remember correctly, and things is Asura, and seeing their mind clash, so to speak. I think that's all very well said and done. So it's very important too, because I think the characters also, when you're focusing on one, it can actually say a lot about another character. Or you immediately wonder, because of the relationship that character has with another one, what they're doing as we're experiencing what this one is going on, what is doing right now. For me, Kubera was a fresh approach that most authors where the perspective never shifts from the main protagonist. I actually agree with that. I think. Thank you for the follow. I think that a lot of comic books do this decently well. What's up, Miles?
Hello.
How you doing, bro?
You know, life is life, I guess.
That's the I felt that in my soul.
Uh,
I'll re-explain a little bit. I don't know if you're there when I started.
yeah. Do you have like just a pic you can send the question or something?
Oh yeah. You want me to send it on Discord or Twitter or what's easier?
Yeah. Whichever. Doesn't matter.
Where are you at? Where are you at? I don't see you. But what do you think about how Currygom kind of handles the cast in comparison to other series that tend to focus on just one main character and one perspective?
I it's a very impressive
Thank you for the subscription.
thing. It's very impressive, and I have to give her credit. I personally have a bias towards multiple POV stories. I think it's first starting when I literally read like Percy Jackson way back in the day. And I saw that with like the other stories you wrote when I was like in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's nice because like I think when we can peel back the layer of invincibility that most main characters have, which is, you know, sometimes by introducing other main characters, other things, I think it kind of helps just you dive deeper and be more immersed in the story because like you can see more characters and they're not as perfect as like I think some authors try to prop them up to be, which is good. Yeah. So I'm usually always for it, but again, as you said, it can be a hard thing to do because the question is giving time to characters that no one likes can create a really rough patch.
Or if there's a character that I guess maybe the community likes at large, and you're like, I can't necessarily focus on them for now, it could be very frustrating. Like if I love Lise, I haven't seen her in years as a weekly reader. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can see how that could be very frustrating, but I'm okay with it personally.
Yes. And I think this is, again, the thing I always say. I think this is where intent is usually very well shown by authors. Where, like, I think sometimes when we get, like, I'm trying to think of an apt example for us, right? So, like, One Piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oda, you showing us, the ninja fight with Fukurokuju and what's his name?
Raizo.
The concept isn't bad because it ties to the
like honor and whatever, and
the honor ties with the Scabbards versus one of the highest members of Orochi's people. And there's a thing. The thing is, I don't think we got the proper due diligence to feel invested in it.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're taking away from things that we do care about in this specific moment, such as Luffy versus Kaido. Like, I think it probably would have been a little bit more palatable. Oh my gosh, wow, English. Palatable if that was just an independent thing removed from other things that we cared about at its time. So I think time and place is also very important in which you add it. Like, so if you're like, I want to add this character that people might not like, try not to add it when like it's the height of like a climax of a specific thing.
No, that's well said. Real quick, hold on. Mainly why the shifting perspective doesn't bother me is the content we get with each MCs equally, if not better than with Lee's. That's not necessarily a bad point. I will Glamo, how you doing? Naglam in chat, but yeah, like okay, so I think maybe I have to. I didn't think about it this way, but I think you're right when you said you're biased. I actually would probably say that I have a bias to this. Subjectively speaking, I tend to enjoy this type of storytelling more than following one character. I like shifting point of views and perspectives, but a part of that is because I tend to be very indifferent or not like the MC. I tend to like a lot of the other characters. I mean, you guys have been here long enough to know I like random people like Mule Love a lot. You know, like I just gravitate to someone very random. That's how I am. So, following the perspective of like one character, the main character, for more often than not, doesn't really move me. I tend to get a higher level of intrigue and interest when I'm focusing and talking and doing things with other people and other characters. That's when I'm like, oh man, this is dope. Well, I've been waiting for this, so I wanted to see this. So, I actually think I agree with you. Like, I actually prefer that. So that's probably why it totally like it's like I'm okay with like my character not being focused on for a long time for the sake of the overall narrative being better and more cohesive. At the end of the day, it's like for me, it's like the most important thing is the story making sense from top to bottom and being seamless from start to finish, or as seamless as you can, because we're human, we're gonna make errors, right? I care about
Mm-hmm.
that more than like necessarily my characters. Like I have tons of series where my characters do like dope stuff and great things, but the story's mid, and I'd rather flip that basically, have my character die off or whatever, but the story's good, so to speak. Even though I'm a character guy, I care about my characters. So it's hard for me to stay invested if I don't have at least one character I really like. But no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely a bigger fan of that. So
See, I think this is the weird thing where, like, I think I'm the, at least our end thing is the same, but I'm actually a main character guy through and through.
mm,
Where I think even if I like try not to, usually the main character is probably my favorite character in the series. Weirdly enough. But I think that's why I want him to not be in the him or her be in the spotlight as much, because I think there's a safety net of me knowing you're going to probably be here.
okay,
I don't need to see you all the time because I know like you're gonna be there. It's gonna be okay. Like let me see the others. So I think that's probably why I'm usually okay with it. But yeah, I'm usually a main character merchant.
hmm, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely never was kind of never like that. Like if you were able to get me to really like the main character, you did something really something special, and you did it well. Because especially if they're my favorite character. It's one thing for me to like them. You like that happens, but for them to be my favorite, very rare. Like, Crows, Boya Hadamichi, my literal
Mm-hmm.
favorite like manga lead. Like, love that dude. Like that's hard to do with me. It's tough. I be hating on MCs. I won't lie to you. That's tough. So yeah. Multiple point of views greater than single POVs. I agree. Take a special ride to make you care about people you normally wouldn't have. Usually the main character isn't my favorite, but in Kubera she is fair. Or at the very least, it makes them compelling. Like Kubera is not my favorite character. Like Lee's never my favorite. I'd say she was amongst the top for a long time, but she's so intriguing in her own right. Like there's sometimes a character where I'm like, I don't care about them on an emotional, personal level. I'm not saying that about Lee's. I still do. I want her to be happy. I really do. I promise. But um, I can be like, I acknowledge their importance and the intrigue they have, even though I don't have an emotional connection to them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so that happens to me sometimes. Like maybe for a long time, Chandra, before he kind of grew on me. Like, see, I don't. Chandra's not a person I'd get along with, but he's interesting. And he ties in with Lila and so many other things. So like I'm intrigued when he's here. But did I really like him? Probably not for a good moment because I know I wouldn't get along with the dude. So I'm like, ugh, I want to fight.
Right.
So yeah. Or the rating compelling, regardless how many characters you like or dislike in Kubera, they're at least all interesting. I would agree with that. You know, I don't like Gandhavra, but I wanted to say something nice after that. I just want to say I don't like Gandhavra. That's all I wanted to say. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just don't like him. Or Lorraine. They got to go. So yeah. Always gotta Gandhi straight. You always gotta get one. You just gotta get one. Is that everything we have to say about this question? This first part. So the pros and cons of multiple MCs and the way Curry decides to treat them. Do you think Currygom does it in a way that's different from any other series you've read where you change perspectives? Just out of curiosity, do you think it's different or it's similar or just similar but just done at a very high level?
I, if I'm going off the top of my head, I think she's unique in the standpoint of the duration in which she puts on said characters.
That's fair.
Whether I feel like some you will see it's like, okay, we'll do, if it's a show, we can do an episode per person, or if it's a book, it's like a chapter or something. But like if it was Kurigam and like it was converted to said like medium story, if it was a book, it's like, no, we're getting a whole book on Maruna, not chapters. We're getting whole seasons on characters, not episodes. Like that's, I feel like that's the difference in length of how she spends a time on a specific character. So for her, it's not rate. I feel like it's more like when I move to this person, I'm getting it all out there because I really want to make a point and it's gonna stick. And she hasn't failed yet.
Okay, I feel it. I would. I think that's probably a good distinction, just the length. Like she would really like Maruna ran kind of back to Maruna, and that then it's like Elise just has not been here. Like we really did just go and do something else completely different for a really long time. Because in my head, one of my favorite examples that pop up to me is Nisio Ishin from Monogatari. Like Koyomi Araragi is usually the lead, and you're getting the story told from his point of view and perspective. But there are certain arcs where you're told that from another character. It might be Hanekawa. It might be who I think is the best lead in the story, Kaiki. It might be Kanburu, right? So it's not even that Koyomi's not there in the picture. You might see him, might be running around, but it's not his story to tell. You're getting it through the lens, through the point of view perspective of the other character. So when there's a lot of like internal monologuing, it's their voice you're hearing, which is right, which I think is interesting. What's up, Vince?
Hello, Vince.
Might be muted and getting his stuff ready and stuff, but yeah. Okay. Well, I want him to answer too when he gets the chance, but okay. Let's talk about the long-term quality of the story versus weekly demand of the. Yeah, I can now. Oh, there we go. You're a little robot-y. You're a little Transformers.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm been out, but you can probably where I'm at.
I don't know what you said, but you got it, G. I don't know what he said, but you got it, bro. Oh shoot. Okay, so what do you think about that one? So the pros and cons of the long-term quality of the story versus the weekly demand of the fans to want to see their favorite characters. I think this might be the same question. Is it fair to ask the fans to take a long-term perspective on Kubera to where it might be a great binge read once it's done, but at the risk of losing current fan interest, who ultimately are like the bloodline of the story? So to basically say, be patient, wait, don't worry about all that because it'll all be good together. But to even get to that point, the lifeblood, you're going to need people, viewers, and fans to support the series, give it money, and care about it while it's happening to even get to that point. What do you think about that?
Ooh. See, I'm weird in the sense I would say the end product is I still think it is the most important thing because that's what's going to be at the end. And I don't know how most people are, but like when you're going to, the only time you're going to experience it week to week is once. Every time after that you're going to experience it will be binge or however at the rate that you want to do. You know what I mean? So I want to lean to the binging and like the long lasting is more important, but just because I think it's more important does not mean that you cannot look at the week to week read and just let it not be good week to week, because that is how you're going to get to the point where people will be able to binge it in the first place. So there is a delicate balance of both. I still think the binge is.
Hello?
It's not to say week to week has to be the greatest thing of all time, but it has to at least let you stay there.
I think this is actually kind of tough. Like I like this question a lot. It's it's hard to kind of, because like here's what I think. I think you have to just find a way to balance both. It's just unfortunately with something like this, you're not gonna like some people get to kind of write their series or at least write it like one big volume at a time. But for something like this, like a graphic novel that's ongoing on a week to week basis, you have to keep the short term week to week interest by having like proper like cliffhangers and building up enough intrigue and things like that in certain chapters to carry on to the next one. So it's like, okay, yo, shoot. Crowhog gets Ginyu'd, and I'm like, yo, I need the next chapter. Like, like you have to do that. I think you have to find a balance. Now, the problem with a lot of these things is like money talks. Popularity, clout, money, things you can make merch for and things like that. I thought I put this away. That talks. So if a series is not profitable, it doesn't matter how critically acclaimed or great it is. More often than not, you might get the boot. So she's still gonna have to like,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's a hard balance to find. And I don't know how ruthless Naver / Line is or tends to be, but I know Jump is pretty ruthless. So it's like you might have be building and setting up something great, and you need 20 chapters, and it's like, hey yo, they ain't reading this. It's axed. And you might have really had something incredible to say and tell. So I still think you have to cater to the week to week, but I personally think the overall story is kind of more important than the chapter to chapter, week to week thing. But you gotta do both. There's no one or the other in my opinion.
I agree.
That's tough though. It really is. Cause a lot of characters, I don't know if you ever read it on cause week to week, our authentic reaction, enjoyability some matters, but yes, overall some matters more. I agree, Vince. And shit. Week to week, something. I lost my point. I totally forgot. Damn it. Let me think. I'm gonna look at the question. The question might help me. Oh yes. A lot of the comment sections in the Line webtoons is just like, where is Lee's? Where is this? Where is this person? Yada yada. And it's like, I have to admit that I think the way that a lot of people consume stories, narratives, and media today is a lot different. So I don't know if they care about the same type of things that I've always cared about when it comes to storytelling and narratives. Because again, some people are just like, oh, there's a cute character, must protect, kawaii, and they're gonna post their little memes, make the little fan art, and they're good. That's all they need. So I think it also depends on, I guess, which demographic or what type of fan you're trying to cater to. But personally speaking, I mean most Kubera fans that I speak to seem to be highly intelligent. Some of them are getting into it and they're a little confused and frantic the way I was. But I argue that this is not a series you can just casually, oh my god, I just like it and enjoy it. It's like, I don't think so. Well, I mean, you probably can, but you probably have no idea what's actually happening if that's how you're reading it. So it all depends. Week to week is important, but yeah, finding the balance and making the weekly chapters connect back in one cohesive narrative is what Currygom does best. And I think she's like, she has earned that kind of she's garnered that kind of respect from her community, where it's like, it'll come full circle at some point, even if it's not important now, or you could tell she's saving it for later. It's being watered and catered to and properly, getting the sunlight it needs off screen, so it can be, by the time we come back and it's a full redwood, we're like, oh shoot, he was scheming over there. So I trust her, so I can give her the benefit of the doubt a lot of the times. I don't know if you're in the same boat.
I am.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, but Currygom is raw, man. Like, I got almost no issues with how she is telling the story. I think Kubera in a weird way benefits being underrated like that. You don't have that many incompetent people who reading back. I actually like somewhat agree with that. Like, it obviously would be better for maybe from a monetary standpoint and stuff, and maybe merchandising or whatever, to like have a bit more clout. But I do like that most Kubera fans seem to be pretty level-headed and very, very, very invested in the story, because I guess the community is small and they're very connected, and I like that. That's dope to me. This is one of the better fan bases I've been a part of. I don't think obviously probably no fan base is perfect, and a lot of them are toxic and have toxicity in it. I'm sure there's some Kubera people that are like not it, but I haven't really seen them. The only other community I think is kind of not problematic is JoJo, but they're not perfect either. They think everything is a JoJo reference, and they and they say some egregious things about some of the parts, I would say. But JoJo fans, I genuinely get along with, I'd say. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say JoJo fans are just extremely memey by nature, but at least memes usually aren't like bad.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think the way that she handles the characters is great. I think the way that she handles how she tells some of their backstories or gets them to be a part of historical events by displacing them throughout time and different possible universes is incredible. Again, I'm always a fan of shifting perspectives and giving enough other characters enough time to shine. And if you're not particularly great at handling a large cast, I think you should keep it small, rein it in, or at least maybe don't have it be ever expanding by the arc. So maybe you can maybe have an arc where you have a lot of things going on, but by then you don't leave with everybody. You kind of leave them there, and they stop being relevant. They don't necessarily bleed into latter parts of the series. Um, that's my opinion. And for the week to week and the like and trying to like think about the the long term storytelling. I think a lot of people have a lot of faith in Currygom, but I do think that you still gotta make it enjoyable week to week. You gotta have intrigue, you gotta build up stuff, you gotta have good arcs, and then you have to kind of end with a kind of cliffhanger thing that's gonna make me really want to read the next chapter, buy the fast pass for the next chapter, read the raw for the next chapter, whatever the case may be. I believe that's what I think. Nah, you haven't seen JoJo Elitist? They weird. Is it me? Currygom should have a Patreon so we can support it. I think I'd be dope. I would support. I kind of agree, but I don't think Webtoon would allow that. Yeah, Webtoon I know is a little weird. I been saying since for like 3 years, Miles, that I would like learn how Naver works. I still don't know how they work.
Yeah, Naver. I don't know. That is weird. Then they're pretty. I feel like the way in which they even advertise stuff is just horrible. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. I have 2 questions for you and the chat.
What's up?
One, what do you think Kurigam like best? I'm trying to think. Is genre the best word? So like, do you think she excels the best in comedy, or romance, or
Torture, psychological torture,
yeah, like psychological
thriller,
thriller,
Yeah,
or
that's
the
what I would
horror
say.
elements, or even like I don't want to say existentialism, but like even the way in which you like kind of describes time, like what do you think is like that specific aspect or genre of her writing she like is the best at? Like that's what like she shines at the most.
Yeah, I'm definitely with the kind of like the psychological thriller, like the. I think I actually kind of want to say a little bit of. There's a lot of philosophical things in there that I'm a big fan of too. So I'd probably kind of maybe make that a 1B, but I'd go with like the mind stuff and like hitting us with psychological transcendentals. That's her gimmick. That's her great. I think the romance is solid. It's good. It's great. And I think it's gonna keep building. I don't think she's. I don't know the Taraka stuff in the finite was pretty good, but I think it could be better. I think I've seen better romance. I mean, again, she's doing it differently and it's interconnected. Like some of those series were just romance focused. Even though I know this is supposed to be a thingy. Hold on. She keeps saying the story is fantasy romance, but it feels more like a fantasy tragedy. Yeah, it really does feel like a tragedy a lot of times. So genre where she excels is philosophical and time travel and comedy. I think the comedy is actually underrated. I'll probably put that like right out, like that too. I think the comedy is really good. But she's funny. I think her characters are very expressive and vibrant, and I like them for that.
Do you think her comedy is better than her romance?
Like I would argue, like the romance is like undertone is there and it's prevalent and but I don't think she's ready to make it be the shining beacon, like thing of the show yet. I think she's still working on some things. What's up?
Okay, you can hear me better now?
I can.
Yeah.
Okay, finish your point though, because I know you're gonna forget it. Go ahead.
No, you can go. I low key gotta like I gotta go like now in like 5 minutes. So
Oh, you finna go somewhere?
yeah, I'm waiting for a ride. That's what this was at the beginning.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck. All right. Well,
that's why I want your thoughts now.
Okay, yeah. I like the fantasy aspect of I think she does that the best. I agree with you about the romance aspect because, we're this far in and she still hasn't like really other than like, some people that are like long gone or like Reina and Ran. There's not too many people that like romances that we see kind of on the surface. We still haven't like fully committed to any of that, to be honest. Like a lot of stuff in past.
Mm-hmm.
Probably comedy, probably second, I guess, if we're defining what the genre would be, or maybe just like the slice of life aspect, maybe.
That's really good.
Yeah, because I like
mystery and fantasy like that. Go ahead, sorry, keep going.
Oh yeah, or mystery. You know what? That's a really good
mystery is
one.
actually not. I didn't consider that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably put slice of life, mystery, and fantasy. That'd probably be like the top 3 aspect. Because the comedy is just kind of like it's good, but it's subtle. She's not trying to do too much with it. Sometimes you be seeing certain actions. Like sometimes I think like the comedy that we think is funny might not be funny to like everybody because it's not like the overall thing. Because sometimes we just be like, why did they?
That's true. What about you, Miles? What do you think?
I probably would have said the like more psychological, philosophical, and romance. But when you guys do kind of put in like a lot of it isn't finished yet, and it's very open ended.
Mm-hmm.
But I I still think the beginnings and the strong, like the beginning parts are so strong of each romantic relationship, and like I think that if this is like one of the few like where like I can really feel all these relationships and how real they are, and like I know this is genuinely what they feel, and I don't feel like those dumb cliche tropes sometimes of like, oh, I can't do this because I can't put you in danger. Like sometimes when like they don't really fully, I feel like meshing with the plot because it's like there's so many ways you can get around this, and I feel like you're just making controversy of the romance just for the sake of controversy because there's nothing else. But I feel like every small piece that you get in addition to the romance of every relationship is meaningful and so impactful that it only makes you either more connected and happy for the relationships or sad because no one gets a happy life as it stands,
That's fair.
which is a plus in either direction, I guess.
Okay, that's fair. I hear you. So here's what I'm gonna do. I know you had a second question. Write it down. Save that. I gotta run, but um, I'll I'll finish this either tonight when I come back, or I'll do it when I wake up in the morning, and then tomorrow we'll still do the TOG stuff. But I gotta run. You guys be
Okay.
safe.